So this is why I tell you, have a heart for the house. Have a heart for the house so that you connect, that you serve, that you grow, and that you lead. It's a process here. You connect, you serve, you grow, you lead. It's the same thing that a lamp does. You connect a lamp to a source of power, and then it serves its light, and then its illumination grows, and then you lead with that. Think of it like a torch. You connect a torch to a fire, and then it serves you light, and it grows through the oxygen that is brought to it. Encouragement is oxygen to the soul. Whenever you find discouraged people, it means that they have run out of oxygen. They've run out of encouragement. Don't ever belittle the ministry of encouragement, because it gives oxygen to somebody's fire. And the secular folks in the world some years ago wrote a song about, "Come on, baby, light my fire." And if somebody ever lights your fire, if they don't fuel it with some words that oxygen, then your fire will eventually go out. So you have to keep light fuel. So somebody lights your torch, you fuel it so that it then grows, but it serves its light, and then it grows as oxygen comes to it. And then you lead with it. The person that has the torch, if everybody else is in darkness, the person with the torch leads. God has a purpose of causing us to serve. As you serve, you grow. As you serve, you grow. As you grow, God then qualifies you to lead. And you see, the litmus test of our leadership is not that we produce followers, but you produce other leaders. Jesus didn't just have flunkies around him that says, "Come on, boys, do what I tell you to do." Jesus, the people that followed Jesus all became leaders. All of them, without exception, became leaders because he connected with them. He connected with Peter and John. He connected with Nathaniel. He connected with Bartholomew. He connected with all of these individuals and said, "Come on." As he connected with them, he lit something in them, and they start serving with him for 3.5 years. But they grew during the years that they were serving with him. And then he says, "Now you go into all of the world." Now he's commissioning them to lead because they connected, they served, they grew as they served. Because you remember, they were trying to cast out a demon, couldn't cast it out, and they came to come back to the masters and, "Master, why couldn't we cast this one out?" Jesus said, "This kind doesn't go out except by prayer and fasting." Something that you don't learn, but they learned some hard cases as they were working with the master. Because the word disciple literally means learner. Learner. Say learner. A disciple is not just a follower, because there's some people that follow behind you that never learn. A disciple is a learner. That means that they learn the lesson, and application is the evidence of learning. And so this is why when you have somebody that follows, and this is what Jesus did. Jesus connected with men and women. He connected with them. Then they served, and then they grew as they served, and then they were commissioned as leaders. Now you go out into the world and change it. Because remember this, God, here's the principle from Scripture, God changes the person, and then God uses the person to change the place. So once God sets you on fire, he then turns you loose. So you change the place. You change the place. There was one time Samson, he caught some foxes, and he took their tails and tied them together and set them on fire. He changed them, set them on fire, turned them loose, and then they burn up every place they went. Because God changes the person, and then he uses the person to change the place. God changes the person, then he uses the person to change the place. You remember he found a woman at the well? She says, "Listen," he said, you're a Jew, I'm a Samaritan. Jews don't have anything to do with the Samaritans." Jesus changed this woman's life. When he changed that woman, she dropped her water pot. She went saying, "Come see a man. Come see a..." That woman started a revival in her city. Because he changed the person, the woman went and changed the place. I mean, and I'm just telling you, my God, if you ever want to see something change, I mean, before we had telephone and television, it was tell a woman. They knew that if you told a woman, my God, When she dropped that water pot, that woman, you tell a woman, my God, that news could get over. And don't be in a small town. And a woman knows it, your business. Because if she know it, everybody in town gonna be, yeah, honey, that's Sue Ellen's daughter over there, honey. Yeah, she the one that got pregnant over there behind. Your business gonna be all over town. Everybody gonna be whispering. Wait a minute, shh, here she come. But trust me, everybody knows what's going on. You don't want to do your dirt in a small town because you got some folks that sit out on the porch, they know every car. Where are all the people from the country? Anybody from the country? Y'all know you don't want to do your dirt in the country because everybody gonna know it. If you had a roll behind the hay, a roll in the hay, everybody knew what you did with the hay in the hay. But God changes a person, he uses a person to change the place. That's why you connect, that's why you serve, you grow, and then you lead. And see, listen, true leadership is about leading yourself in a way that inspires others to follow. That's when you know you got a real leader. True leadership is about leading yourself in a way that inspires others to follow. A true leader is not one that says, I'm the leader, you're going to do what I said because I'm the leader and you're supposed to do it. A true leadership is about leading yourself in a way that inspires others to follow. It's where you conduct yourself. You lead yourself through that influence of trust because you've led yourself well. True leadership is not about leading others. It's about leading yourself in a way that inspires others to follow. That's the real litmus test of leadership. And listen, real leaders don't produce other followers, they produce other leaders because you reproduce after your own kind. So Jesus didn't produce a lot of followers. Jesus produced leaders. He produced leaders. He produced leaders. And I want you to think about this for just a moment. But most of what you have right now will ultimately one day belong to someone else. I'm just the interim pastor here. I won't be the pastor here forever. I'm the interim pastor. Every pastor of every church is interim, just for a designated period of time. You're interim. Somebody else is going to have that position. You're just an interim person. Somebody else is going to live in your house after a while. Somebody else is going to drive the car. Somebody else, when you die, if you got any jewelry worth anything, somebody's going to come in there before your body will get cold. And I'm telling you, if you don't give your fur away while you're alive, people will come to your house and act like they're crying over you, and they be in the back searching in your closet for that mink that they know you have. And I'm telling you, you better give it to somebody whoever you want to have it, you better give it to them while you got breath in your body, because I'm telling you, I cannot tell you, I've counseled with grieving families over the years, and they talking about Big Mama had this in her wheel, and they can't find her earrings, and they can't find her other ring, and they can't find her mink stole. Because some folks came over to the house eating food, and while they were in there eating chicken and pound cake, somebody was acting like they were grieving in her bedroom and going through her closet and trying on stuff and walked out the door with it in a garbage bag. I'm just telling you, but most of what you have right now will ultimately belong to someone else. That's why you have to understand you have to be a caretaker of the flame. We're keepers of the flame. Only why we have it because it's got to be passed on. And he didn't light your fire just for you to have light. He lit your fire so that you can light the fires of others. And as you light the fires of other people, it will never, ever diminish you. The happiest people in the world are giving people and serving people. The happiest people in the world are giving people and serving people. And the most miserable people in the world are egotistical, egocentric individuals who are self-serving. The curse of our world today is egocentric leadership that preys on the people instead of serving the people that they're called to serve. Leadership is called to serve people. Here's a principle that I want you to get. You see it in this meme, that if you get, give, and if you learn, teach. Because the more you give, the more it comes back to you. You really want to be blessed, you got to be a giver. You really want to be blessed, teach others what you've learned. You know, they have a Jewish maxim that says this to the Jewish father. It says, he who does not teach his son a trade is equal to him who teaches him robbery. They believe in teaching them. Give them a way to be able to earn. If you get, give. If you learn, teach. Here's the principle. Learn, do, teach. Learn, do, teach. Learn, do, teach. Would you say that with me? Learn, do, teach. Come on, everybody saying it. Learn, do, teach. Say it once again. Learn, do, teach. Here's a principle, and it's a biblical principle. I want you to see its basis in the Old Testament in Ezra chapter 7 and verse 10. Notice this. For Ezra set his heart to study the law of the Lord. He studied it so he could learn it, and to do it, and to teach his statutes and rules in Israel. Notice that. He learned so that he could do, and he did it so he could teach it. Notice that. Learn, do, teach. Learn, do, teach. Because you can't do what you've not learned. And you have no authority to teach what you've not done. And your doing teaches. Your doing teaches. Your doing teaches. But oftentimes you learn to do by doing. You learn to do. You learn to do by making mistakes. You learn to do. There are different ways to be able to learn. Notice in Acts chapter 1 and verse 1, notice this, that in the first book, O Theophilus, I have dealt with all that Jesus began, notice, to do and to teach. But you remember Jesus on several different occasions? Jesus said, I only do what I see my Father do. He said, I only speak what I hear my Father speak. So what I've learned from my Father is what I do, and what I do is also what I teach. Jesus began to do and teach. He learned, he did, he taught. He learned, he did, he taught. You learn, you do, you teach. You learn, you do, you teach. You learn, you do, you teach. Listen, when you really think about it, there are only three distinct phases of life: learning, earning, returning. Learning, earning, returning. Learn, do, teach. The first third of your life is spent learning. The next third is spent earning. The final third is spent returning. Learning, earning, returning. Learn, do, teach. Learn, do, teach. And where we've had a breakdown in our society is where people got so egotistical and so selfish that they stopped returning and teaching and got addicted to doing and earning. And you're supposed to learn, do, teach, because you're only interim. And if you're not scouting out somebody to be able to take your place, you're going to short circuit the whole system of learn, do, teach. We're in a process. You learn from various things. You learn from God. You learn from the Holy Spirit. You learn from the Bible. You learn from others. You learn from the past. You learn from your failures. When I say that you learn from others, you learn from your parents. You learn from friends. You learn from elders. You learn from books, from their biographies. You learn from mentors. You learn from coaches. Listen, you even learn from your enemies. Let me make it more plain to you. You learn from your ex. You learn from your baby mama, your baby daddy. Sometimes the lesson that you learn from your ex is who not to get connected with. Because once you've made the mistake of being with somebody that's been abusive to you, you recognize that spirit in somebody else. It's like, you remind me of somebody. Like I have dealt with your kind before. And when you see that spirit, and sometimes God will bring somebody that is so terrible in your life so that the person that he has ordained for you, it makes them look so good because you've been with this other person that just didn't know how to appreciate anything that you did. And yet then God was using the wrong person to help you appreciate the right person. So you even learn from your ex, and sometimes you need to send a thank you letter to your ex. Say, you know what? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Send it to your ex and their new partner. So thank you for taking her off of my hands. Thank you for taking him off of my hands. Good luck till you see you, wouldn't want to be you. But you learn even from your enemies. You learn from your enemies. You learn from your enemies, and you have to thank God for your enemies. Your enemies are there because they help us to grow. And whenever God is getting ready to promote you to a new level, he will always introduce a new enemy into your life. He schedules an enemy whenever he wants to lift you to a higher platform. David had to have Goliath scheduled to come into his life. You had to have a battle with an enemy in order to come into the position of king. So whenever God is getting ready to bring you to another level, you're going to find a new enemy or an old enemy that resurfaces and begins to create a battle in your life. God's got a plan. He's got a plan. He's not trying to help you. He's trying to bless you. And he'll use some strange things in your life. I just came to remind you today that God has a purpose for your pain. 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 God has a reason for your struggle. And God has a reward for your faithfulness. He has a purpose for your pain. He has a reason for your struggle. And God has a reward for your faithfulness. Don't ever let the devil talk you out of the blessing of being faithful. Because you'll be praying about something and the devil will say, you see, your prayers are not doing anything else. They get worse. God rewards faithfulness. God rewards faithfulness. Be not weary in well-doing, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. God rewards faithfulness. Well, here I am trying to take the high road. I'm trying to be the positive one, and they still over here being trifling. They're still being evil toward me. You still stay faithful. Stay faithful to do what you know to do. When they're being evil to you, they're not showing you who you are. They're showing you who they are. That's not who you are. Don't you dare stoop to that level. You be faithful. God rewards faithfulness. God rewards faithfulness. God rewards faithfulness. God rewards faithfulness. You take the high road. You walk in obedience to the word. You keep praying. You keep serving. You keep believing. You keep trusting. You keep doing what you know to do is right. You do it. God rewards faithfulness. God rewards faithfulness. God rewards faithfulness. He rewards faithfulness. Others will be cheating on your jobs and it's looking like they're getting promotion, but God rewards faithfulness. God rewards faithfulness. God rewards faithfulness. God rewards faithfulness. Leaders lead into a place called the future. Leaders lead into a place called the future. Leaders also teach others to become leaders, not followers. John Maxwell, my friend, says insecure leaders never develop people, they replace them. Isn't that interesting? Insecure leaders never develop people, they replace them. See, we're called to develop people, to find the seed, to find something on the inside of them and to develop them as leaders so that we serve a purpose in them and we grow them into something where they become leaders. Every mother and father has an assignment to grow their children into leaders so that they can keep leading their own lives, because one of the worst curses to a parent is to have a dependent child that never grows up emotionally. And let me just say this to you. If you don't get control of your emotions, you'll never get control of your money. Let me say that again to you. If you don't ever get control of your emotions, you'll never be able to get control of your money. Because if you become an emotional spender, you'll go out and do retail therapy every time you get frustrated. And then you'll be broke, busted, and disgusted and wonder why in the world the devil has stolen your money. Until you get control of your emotions, you won't be able to control your money. Until you get control of your emotions, you won't be able to control your money. And you're wondering why God is holding off your blessing. He's waiting on you to grow up, baby girl. Baby boy, he's waiting on you to grow up. Because you've got to have some maturity and some discernment The way you don't get it. You don't make emotional decisions when it comes to money. You need to base it on law, on principle, on the wisdom of God, on the truth of God's word. 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 2 says that you have heard me teach things that have been confirmed by many reliable witnesses. Now teach these truths to other trustworthy people who will be able to pass them on to others. See, you're supposed to teach, to teach, to teach. You teach others to teach others to teach others. You're to teach, to teach, to teach. It's a process of life. You know, as I'm mentoring individuals, I take them through some different steps. Here's step 1. I do, you watch, we talk. Here's step 2. You do with me, we talk. Things are not as easy as they look. When you have a pro, they make stuff look real easy. And if you don't have a conversation about it, then they'll think that something is wrong. So you have to let them know that, you know what, Bishop, it look like you just get up and talk to people and like you're just never nervous. Faith is not doing something in the absence of fear, it's doing it in the presence of fear. It's saying that I'm scared to death, but I'm out here doing it anyway. It's like I'm running, but I'm running scared. It's like, Jesus, please don't let me fall. Please, Jesus. Anybody understand what I'm talking about? So you need to have a conversation about it. But you made it look easy. I thought it was going to be easy. I wasn't able to sleep the night before. I wasn't able to sleep either. So you need to have a conversation about it. That's step 2. You do with me, we talk. Step 3, you do, I watch, then we talk. Then that way I can help you tweak it, make it better. Then here's step 4, now you teach another one to do, and now you talk. That's the way you keep it in perpetuity. You teach others what you've received of me, commit thou. Now I want you to get this very careful. I love the way that the King James Version says it this way in 2 Timothy 2:2. The things that thou hast learned of me, commit thou to faithful men who shall be able to teach others also. It didn't say give it to people with great ability. Because you can't necessarily take people with great ability and make them faithful. But you can always take it to people with faithfulness and make them able. It's much easier to take a faithful man or woman and make them able to capacitate them than it is to take a person with great talent, great ability, and try to make them faithful. So there's a reason when the scripture says, what you've received of me, give it away to faithful people who shall be able. They may not be able right now, but they shall be able at one time. They shall be able. And then you make them able. You help to grow them into who they are called to be. And this is why Romans chapter 8 and verse 14 says, for those who are led by the Spirit of God, they are the children of God. They're the children of God. They are the children of God. And listen, if you're going to be a leader, we're only qualified to lead to the degree that we are willing to follow. We're only qualified to lead to the degree that we are willing to follow. Joshua followed Moses before he became a leader. Elisha followed Elijah before he became a leader. Timothy followed Paul before he became a leader. Martin Luther King Jr. followed Gandhi before he became a leader. And so you have to be willing to follow somebody before you lead. Because to the degree that you're willing to follow, it qualifies you to lead. This is our time to get connected in a fresh way. To say, God, I want to connect to your purposes in the earth. I want to be a part of something that matters. I want to be able to serve others. And I just want you to realize this, that because Jesus so loved the church, he died for it. He gave himself for the church and the whole world. But out of his death, the church was birthed. And he gave something that was very, very special to us. And we are so grateful to him for his inestimable sacrifice that he made for us. It was incalculable. We have no capacity to be able to measure the depth of his love and sacrifice given on our behalf. And so as we connect ourselves to God, notice what happens. He calls us then to serve people. Because many times when you understand that I'm called to serve God, the call to serve God, the only way that you can really serve God is by serving people. You know why? Because God has no needs. You can't bake God some cookies or cake. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. You can't bring him a glass of water. He doesn't need it. God has no needs. His people do. So if you're going to serve God, you have to serve people. That's the way that you serve God. And this is why after Peter had denied Jesus, and Jesus now has a fierce conversation with him, he says, Peter, Do you love me? He didn't say, if you love me, prove it to me. He said, if you love me, Peter, feed my sheep. Serve my people. Serve my people. If you love me, serve my people. If you love me, feed my sheep. If you love me, feed my lamb. He said, listen, if you love me, serve one another. If you love me, serve. That's why you connect. You serve. Through your serving, you grow in your compassion. You grow in your tenderness. You grow in your emotional intelligence of being sensitive to the needs of others. You grow in your empathy. You grow when you serve others. You grow when you serve others. You grow when you serve others. It's a powerful thing that happens, that as you connect with God and as you serve, you grow. And as you grow, don't think that God is going to grow you and then leave you in an obscure place. Now he's going to commission you to teach others because you've developed now, and now I want you to train. When you've been a master on the football field, the basketball court, the tennis court, and you've mastered something and dominated in that area where you're now leading, now you become a coach to someone else. Now you mentor someone else in it. Because remember, your position is only interim. Anybody who's a champ, you're an interim champ. Somebody who's going to come after you they're going to upstage you. They're going to break your record. They're going to shatter your title. Somebody is waiting in the wings for their opportunity. But you got to do it while your time is there. And just be committed that God, I want to follow you. Wherever I go, I just want to follow you. I want to follow you.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Join us again next time for Power for Living, where revelation is power. Power for living.